Mr. Cornette, as a fellow fan of comics, I've often thought about what heroes would translate over to wrestling and vice versa. My question is, which superhero do you think would translate over to wrestling with you as their manager, of course?
Oh, good Lord. I tell you, I don't know about Aquaman. I've never really seen why anybody would be scared of. Yes, I know he controls all the sea creatures, but you could just walk about 10 feet from fucking waterline, and those sea creatures wouldn't be much of a threat. I was always a Marvel guy instead of a DC guy. I liked both, and I collected everything, but I liked Marvel comics better because to me that was like the NWA, whereas DC was like the WWF. Marvel was a little bit more serious, a little bit more violent. You could take everything. They had a little bit more backstory, a little bit more details in their life and history and etc. Rather than just, he's Superman because he comes from Krypton and they had a red sun. That having said, I would love to have managed the Hulk. I think he would have been a great monster heel, or the Thing. Hulk or the Thing would have been great monster heels. I think Submariner, when you think about it, because he was already wearing wrestling tights, I think he could have been a great babyface. He really could have. Even though he was portrayed as a heel a lot of times in the comics, I think he could have been a great babyface. And, I'm not too much on Iron Man. That would give me flashbacks of RoboCop. But potentially also Captain America would have been the best masked wrestler in history. And we sort of had that with the Patriot, but Kevin Dunn didn't want him to get over. So the Hulk and the Thing, let's go for the monster heels that are just going to kill, crush, destroy, smash, etc., etc.
They're the monster heels, but both of those guys would be huge once they turn babyface.
Oh my God, incredible. Once you told the story of how that it was really Bruce Banner that was trapped inside the Hulk's body, and he couldn't control it, or the Thing who felt unloved because he was so hideous because of the gamma rays. Oh my God. There's 3-4 year programs with those guys.
It's fun to think about this, the idea of comic book characters in wrestling. Is there anything more bootleg and bullshit looking than Tony Marino as the Batman in the late 60s?
With 2 T's in Batman, so there was no fear of lawsuits and trademark infringement. Yeah, that was really. But actually, not only did they have Batman in Pittsburgh in the 60s when the TV show, but you remember also the wrestling Beetle, who was
George Ringo. Yeah, right.
George Ringo, but he was actually one of the many personifications of Bob Saber, who was also a photographer for a while and Midwest underneath jobber. But Lawler was a big comics fan, and not only did he like the horror movies, that's why we had Dr. Frank, and actually Lawler didn't even invent Dr. Frank. Dr. Frank was an invention of Tennessee years ago, and he just revived him for a while. But we had Igor and the Colossus of Death and the Prince of Darkness, but also we had Spider-Man. For about 2 weeks in 1977, the Tennessee territory had Spider-Man. It was old Rooster Cogburn, old Memphis job guy, because he only weighed like 150 pounds. He was the smallest pro wrestler I'd ever seen at that point. He's about 6'2", but he weighed like 150 pounds. He was skinny as fuck. So they put him in a Spider-Man costume, and Lawler did this big introduction. I still have this on tape, as a matter of fact, where he's talking about the great new wrestler coming soon. And meanwhile, Spider-Man is doing his Spidey thing behind him in the hallway of the Coliseum. He's from one doorway to the other. He's kind of creeping and prancing and jumping and leaping and whatever the fuck. And finally, and Lawler says, and he's going to be right in your arena this week. And suddenly Spider-Man appears right next to him. And he's, hey, it's Spider-Man. And Spider-Man came and went in about 10 days.
I know there was one in Detroit, but didn't Memphis also have a Darth Vader?
Yes, we had a Darth Vader. I think it was Mike Stark at one point. It was Darth Vader for a couple weeks. And then David Schultz was the Riddler for 2 weeks. I'm surprised that poor Wayne Ferris didn't have to be, because Wayne Ferris, when he first got started, 1 week he was El Diablo. And then the next week he was the Kisser. Because Lawler was a big Kiss fan too. Maybe he should have gone to the concert with Jericho. But so he painted, I still have a picture of this. He got the Kiss body outfit, body stocking, and put the Kiss logo as a fake tattoo on Wayne's chest and then painted his face up like Gene Simmons and told Wayne to go out and during the entire match, keep your tongue stuck out. Under no circumstances, don't not stick your tongue out, right? So you've never seen a more uncomfortable motherfucker than Wayne Ferris. He's been literally a wrestler for about 6 weeks, and he's out there painted up and dressed as Gene Simmons and trying to have a match and take bumps while keeping his tongue stuck out. No wonder Wayne has heat, or Lawler has heat with Wayne, or there's heat between them these days, because Lawler gave him some fucking horrible fucking gimmicks when he first got into business.
The one thing I always love about the bullshit Batman in the Pittsburgh territory is that he teamed with Bruno. Because here's Bruno, who, like, refuses to work against Benji Ramirez, the Mummy. He's like, oh, people won't believe a mummy, but I will team with Batman. You know, it's so stupid.
But he was a paisan.
That's right. He was the most Italian-looking Batman you'll ever see.
Yeah, and he was a friend of Bruno's. So, and Batman was big on TV.